And I'm going to make this circle towards the top of our paper, or the top of my paper, the top of your paper, because Sally has a really long neck, so I want to make sure I have room for all of that. So about the size of maybe a baseball or even like an orange. I'm going to go much smaller than maybe like a cutie. Towards the top of my paper, I'm going to lock my wrist, use my whole arm. I'm going to start drawing out a whole bunch of circles for myself. Now I cannot draw a perfect circle on my first time around, but if you can, well, you get a metaphorical gold star, I guess. I cannot, so I'm going to draw out a whole bunch of circles, and I'll choose which lines of the circle I want to keep later. I need to make some guidelines for myself to help me proportion out my Sally. The first one is going to go right down the middle from top to bottom. And like I said, her neck is really long, so I'm going to bring this line down quite a bit of ways. And then my horizontal guideline is going to go maybe just a little bit below center from left to right. And you're done, everyone. Yes, Sally. Yeah, that's a short class. Obviously, I'm kidding. We have a lot more to go. So let's start by working on her face. I'm going to bring down her chin just a little bit, or give her a chin, essentially, by hopping to the sides, wherever my center guideline is meeting my circle, and just bringing down this sort of parentheses curve, and bringing it a little bit past my circle. That way I give her a little bit of a chin. I just bring down her face to a bit of a point. And at this point, now we can start working on the neck and her dress and all of those wonderful things. We're just drawing her essentially from the shoulders up, so you don't have to worry about anything past that. So for the neck, I'm going to start by hopping just on either side of my center guideline. I can even make two little number 11s to sort of proportion out where I want that neck to land once it meets her chin. And once I have a shape that I like, I'm going to start to bring it down quite a ways and curve it out as I reach the bottom of my paper, or as I reach the bottom of where I want my neck to end. I want to say this looks like an Atari symbol. Does that make me sound old? Does it make me sound less old if I question it? The next thing we're going to work on is the collar of her dress. Now, Sally is like a seamstress, right? And her dress is made up of a whole bunch of different patterns and fabrics. So what I want to do for myself is I'm going to start by hopping to the center guideline here and bringing around this sort of candy cane shape towards her neck. And I'm going to end it right there on her neck. And then very lightly I'm going to draw through the neck to bring it across. And then sort of just a reverse shape, or reverse like candy cane. I'm going to bring this around and I'm going to make it go past my center guideline here. So it almost looks like we have maybe like a Hershey kiss with the tag still sticking out on our papers. And then once I have this, I can hop to the top of wherever my collar is ending, and I can bring out these big sort of parentheses shapes, these big kind of U shapes, to be the new collar of her dress. And once I have this, I can go in and add some details to her dress. Like I was saying, she has a bunch of different patterns on her dress, so you're welcome to do whatever you like, but what I want to do on the left side is give her sort of that like burlap, scratchy, cross-hatching kind of texture. So I'll go with a bunch of lines one direction, and then just sort of turn my paper, turn my pencil the other way, and draw lines the other direction. Congratulations, you just learned a new art technique that is cross-hatching, everyone. And then on the left side, we're learning something new. And then on the left side, or the right side, I'm going to draw in just a bunch of swirls. And I don't mind looking a little bit scratchy because I think that is very Tim Burton-esque, right? Tim Burton was the creator of Nightmare Before Christmas. We even have the original film right here. This is written and illustrated by Tim Burton, so you can see just how scratchy his artwork is, just how sort of like uneven things look. So if your Sally's looking a little bit uneven, a little bit scratchy, you were just channeling your inner Tim Burton, okay? Do not worry about it. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to start locking in these features. For those of us who are new to the Animation Academy, locking in is just a term we use here, which means we're going to start to pick our favorite lines, and we're going to start to make them nice and dark so that they stand out against the rest of the lines on our paper. And while I do this, let's talk a little bit about Nightmare Before Christmas, right, which is the movie that Sally originates from. Does anyone, are there any Nightmare Before Christmas fans in the house? Woo! Yes, okay, a few of us, awesome. Well, for those of you who do not know, Nightmare Before Christmas started out as a poem written by Tim Burton. And Sally actually actually was not in the original poem. There are actually only 3 characters named in the original poem. Does anyone want to guess who that might be? Who those 3 characters? Zero, yeah, I heard it's one of them. Jack, yeah, Jack. And who's that 3rd character, do you think?
Oogie
Oogie Boogie, that's a good guess, but no, actually Oogie Boogie was created for the movie as well. Any other guesses? I heard a bunch of different names all at once. But I think, yeah, I heard it out there. Yeah, Santa or Sandy Claus. So Jack, Zero, and Sandy Claus, they're the original characters. Everyone else was sort of added for the movie just to give it, a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more of the story. Because in the original story, the original poem, Jack is sort of the villain, okay? He's like, I just want to take over Christmas Town. I'm bored with Halloween, which is sort of what happens in the movie as well, which is why I say I think he's a little bit of a villain in his own story. And Sally kind of comes in and tries to steer him, away from the dark side. But now I'm just going into the neck here. I locked this portion in as well. And I'm just drawing in some stitches because Sally is based on a ragdoll, right? Or Frankenstein's monster. So she's always stitching herself back up whenever she falls apart, right? So I'm just adding in some lines here where I want the stitches to go. And then I'll add in a bunch of 1s and X's along the line here to make it look more like stitches. You can add as many or as little as you like. Probably the less that you add, the more friendly she'll look. And the more you add, she might look a little bit scarier. So just whatever you're going for with your Sally today. Now that I have all of this locked in, we start to work on her facial features. The first feature that I want to work on is her nose. It's very simple. It's just going to be a little triangle, a little bit wider at the base. So I'm just going to draw this triangle right below my horizontal guideline here. And once I have that shape, I can even go ahead and just lock this in now. And then I want to work on her smile, give her a nice big smile. So I'm going to follow maybe just below or just above my center guideline here. And I'm just going to bring across a nice big smile, nothing crazy. But I'm going to add some details to her smile to make her look a little bit more like Sally. So the first thing I want to do is give her some lipstick, give her some lips, right? And because she's always falling apart and putting herself back together, what I like to do is make her lips look a little bit off-center from each other. So the top lip is going to be maybe just a little bit to the right of center. And I'm going to add in these 2 sort of mountaintop shapes sitting right on top of her lip here. You can go in and even shape this in. And then the bottom lip I'm going to make slightly to the left. So they're not going to match up completely. Almost like a Mary Sanderson kind of smile here, right? One person laughed, one person got us upset. And then on the sides of her smile, I just want to add in some more stitch marks for her. Again, the more that you add, maybe the creepier she'll look. The less that you add, she'll be a little more friendly. So I'm just going to add 3 on each side of her smile. Just like so. And then we can start working on those big Tim Burton-esque eyes for Sally. I'm going to start by hopping to my horizontal guideline here and stretching across these big U shapes. These are going to be like the bottom of her eye. It might look like she's sleeping on your paper, taking a little bit of a nap. You're welcome to leave her like that if your Sally's a little bit tired. It is early this morning. But I want to wake her up, so I'm going to give her these really big sort of princess eyes. So I'm going to bring these really tall sort of oval shapes, or these really tall rainbow shapes, and make the whole thing sort of look like a gumdrop. She doesn't have eyebrows, so you want to make these pretty tall, almost to the top of your head, but maybe not quite. So on either side, it's going to make across these big rainbow shapes to be her eyes. And then inside of these eyes, to add to that like Tim Burton style, even though she has these really big eyes, she has really tiny pupils. So whatever you want to do, you can get creative here if you like. Maybe you don't want to draw the normal pupils like I will. Maybe you want to draw her with hearts in her eyes like she's looking at Jack. Or maybe little like spiders. Or maybe she's looking up or down or to the side at your neighbor. Maybe she's cross-eyed. Whatever you do decide to draw though, just make sure it's nice and dark because the pupils should be the darkest parts of your drawing. But I'm just locking in the eye shape here so I know where my eyes are going to sit. And then I want her looking off to the side on my paper. Maybe she's looking over at Jack, thinking wistfully. So I'm going to give her these nice tiny pupils. Just make sure they're nice and dark. And I want to give her some eyelashes as well. Her eyelashes sort of look like V's. So the middle one's going to be just a bit longer than the rest. And you're essentially going to draw 3 V's or 6 little eyelashes. You can draw more if you like. Maybe your Sally hit up Sephora. I'd say okay. I do want to add one more stitch to her face on the side just to give her a little bit more, make her look a little bit more Sally-esque, right? So I'll add in just this curved line going through her eye here. Bring it across, maybe just a little bit farther past my guideline here. And just draw in some more X's and ones. All right, now our Sally's looking a little bald. So let's go ahead and give her some hair. Her hair almost has that like yarn-like texture, right? So what I want to do is hop to wherever my head is. Actually, what I want to do first is lock in the head, just so I know where my hair is going to start. So I'll start to pick my favorite circle. This might be a little bit daunting, but do not worry. Again, if it's looking a little sketchy, a little messy, that's very in style for Tim Burton, right? So I'm going to start to pick my favorite lines of the circle here, lock it in, bring it all the way across, and then I'll start to work on the hair here. What I'm going to do is hop right to my center guideline here, and I'm going to bring across this really big rainbow shape that's stretching to my horizontal guideline. So all the way across her head here, all the way across the top, I'm going to bring across this big rainbow shape. And then, once I get to my horizontal guideline, I'm just going to bring these pieces straight down. These are going to be like her front hair pieces. Maybe you want your Sally with her hair blowing in the wind. That's okay. You can make it like sort of waving off to the side. That's up to you. Get a little bit creative. Now, Nightmare Before Christmas is a Tim Burton movie, but Tim Burton was actually not the director of this movie. He's sort of just like the visionary, right? Does anyone know who the director of the movie actually was? Henry Selick. Yeah, I heard out there. One person. Slay. It was Henry Selick. He was the director of this movie. And he is big sort of in the stop motion world, right? He's directed a lot of other movies. Probably most popularly, most well-known is Coraline. He's also the director of Coraline. Most recently, I believe, he directed Wendell and Wild, which is on Netflix. So he's very big in the stop motion world. Tim Burton was a little busy directing a different movie that involved like bats and men and returning, I don't know, yeah, some little indie film like that. So I'll go in and I'll start to lock in the hair here, and I can add in some other lines to be some additional texture for the hair, just in these front pieces here. And in the back, you're more than welcome to just sort of use your pencil and make some big flicks of your pencil just to be the back of the hair here, so you don't have to like worry about it too much. At this point, anything else that you want to add is pretty much extra credit. Maybe you want to draw in a tombstone in the background, or maybe that big curvy hill that her and Jack are always singing on. Maybe you want to draw in some hearts or some stars or some moons or things like that. I'm going to add in some texture to the hair here, just across these front pieces. I'll draw in some big curvy lines, just be a little bit of additional texture. But the last thing you should do before you finish, what do you think that is?
Sign it.
Sign it, yes, of course, because these are your masterpieces, and once you do, you have just drawn your very own Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. How did we do, everyone? Ooh, we're in some woos, and there's some stunned silence out there. Awesome. Well, did we all have fun?
Yeah.
Yes, also that is much more important to me. Well, I would love to see all of your Sallys, so we're going to have a little art show, okay? On the count of 3, I want you all to flip your boards and take a look around, because no one drew Sally quite the same in here, okay? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, let's see Sally, everyone! Great work over here on this side, nice dark lines. She looks so cute, so happy, so wistful. I love the work down here in the front as well.